There are glaring signals that the mountain is on a regret mode. And according to the sources that are coming out, is that Mount Kenya luminaries are trooping in back to Raila, seeking audience in the wake of latest happenings as far as the stake of Mount Kenya in UDA government is concerned. I want us to listen to a presser by Jubilee leaders today because it paints a picture of what is really coming from the mountain.
Ni ya kwamba wakati unaona watu wakiondoka hapa kila mara wanaenda make declarations zingine huko kwa barabara, wengine wanaenda ati kila region tukienda ati area hii tumeandika fulani, area hii bona tunaambia watu tumeandika watu fulani area hii, Kirinyaga tumelete huyu, sijui Narok tumelete huyu, hata Kalani hata mtu wa kufagia tunamuparade hapo. Bona hatusemi tumefuta nani kwa hizo areas? Bona hatusemi tumeondoa fulani kwa sababu ya mwelekeo fulani? Na ujue ukiwa kwa serikali unatumikiaga the government of the day. Tumeona sisi kama watu wale ambao tunaongea vile tunaongea, kuna ile hata kuparade wafanyikazi wa serikali unawaweka uoga, unafanya waone kama waji-expose ama wa-exposiwe, hakuna kazi itafanyika. Kwa hivyo sitaongea mengi sana, asanteni sana na mkubali tuende kureclaim ushindi wetu ambao ni 8.1 versus million 8.1 versus 5.9, na hizo ni kura zilipigwa na Wakenya.
They say one thing but they mean another. They said kazi ni kazi, but every day we are seeing them closing businesses. How can you say a hotel, one in a town? How many towns do we have in Kiambu? How do you determine a town to discuss which area is supposed to be given one hotel, one restaurant? We see deceit because even in their own policy, they disagree even with their own governors. In Nairobi, they say they close bars. The other one is saying don't close. But when it comes to Mount Kenya, they say close. Are they pro Mount Kenya or against Mount Kenya? This is a president that came through deceit, and it is the right time that our people must understand that this government is not our government. Countries are closing, companies are closing. Tunaangalia kila siku wakubwa wa serikali kutoka Mount Kenya wanafutwa kazi without public participation, without anything. Unasikia Kenya Ports Authority.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something from this clip. It actually shows in that different, those two speeches tells you what is the mood in that area. Recently, when Kithure Kindiki was in Kiambu, and he was talking about the projects, the crackdown on illicit brew, and he said kwamba rais ako tayari kupoteza kura zenyu hata kama, lakini lazima angalie kwamba mpigane na hii kitu. So why do you think that the mountain is crying? Why do you think they're crying? Because that's what I want us to look at in this video. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and also also like our video. Those who are sharing, I want to say thank you. I'm also going to share my number there for those who are going to share with me coffee, any support. I think the number is there. They report that a contingent of GEMA entrepreneurs who are now seeking audience with Raila, and even recently, some elders who initially had pledged support for William Ruto came out and supported Raila Odinga's rallies that are now being demonized by the government of the day. It's calling for Raila to be allowed to conduct those rallies so long as they're going to be peaceful. And so there is also that other special group that is caucusing around Jubilee Party. But I'll also look at the caucusing around against William Ruto. So there are some blunders, or there are some things that are happening that is behind these mountain luminaries going back to Raila. What is happening to Uhuru Kenyatta is signal of grand revenge that is coming. And I agree, this evening I was speaking to someone who was telling me that if you are around Uhuru Kenyatta, if you are Uhuru Kenyatta's friend and you are close to him, then you must be a very worried person, because it seems it has just started by the president. If all this can be leveled against former President Uhuru Kenyatta, then what do you expect of Matiangis and Kibichos? What do you expect of those CS or government officials who at the campaign trail, their names came out prominent and they were being attacked to be supporting Raila Odinga? There is a scare of grand revenge. Just this evening, I was seeing some tweet from Philip Tale that some two government officials, or rather members of Uhuru's cabinet, will actually face arrest in the next few days over some corruption cases that now are coming up. So all these are on table. And in the wake of this, Raila remains the defender. And seems he has gone back because he has a voice that when the government will hear, as much as it will be dismissive, but is in a position to carry a narrative and speak out on behalf of many. And then, I think President Ruto's alignment, parastatal appointments that are aligned with political affiliation, caused mass casualties in central Kenya. And I have asked this question in this analysis more than 5 times. That what's the difference between a Gikuyu who is being fired because he worked with Uhuru and this one that is now getting appointed? Is there one that is more equal than the other? I've been wondering about that question, and I wish that is a question that Gigi would really think about. So this mass casualty, the blue-eyed, one of the latest one that I remember is this one of KP, Kenya Pipeline. I think it's Kenya Pipeline Corporation, if I'm not wrong. Why Macharia Irungu was replaced by Josan. I understand the High Court, I think, has also, the LSK went and challenged acquittal, and there is a court order suspending him still from taking over. And Macharia Irungu was, so you look at the one for Safaricom. I think there was also another gentleman who was pro-Uhuru, was Uhuru Kenyatta's person, and was in Safaricom and was ejected. You can go and do your research. Look at the parastatals, revoking and replacing with people who are around President Ruto. Now, that mass firing is a signal that there is more to come. I'm telling you. Sometimes tunasemanga Rigiji ni mtu ambaye anaongea tu, lakini Rigiji sometimes makes sense. Anasemanga, I remember him saying somewhere kwamba hii kura inajua lazima Kenya wajua wanapiga kura aje. Sisi tulijipanga na kura yetu. I'll tell you. Now, the other thing that I can see is the business, there are some insensitive, I don't say insensitive, but not well thought out policies in the wake of government's push to curb substance and drug abuse. I have tried asking this question on what is the best way. We know that it is right and it is in the interest of our mothers and actually our parents for this substance and drug abuse to go down. I was looking at, is it the duty stamp on these goods, wines, alcohol, and spirits yet to go up? I've always thought that is the intervention. But according to Rigathi, he went and tried to propose what according to me is an orthodox intervention, that each county, each town in these counties, each town in different counties in the mountain should only license a single bar. Okay. I don't know what was the reasoning. The reasoning number one is that because the availability of venues mingi na encourage, but also the issue of the timing. So there have been proposal of that intervention. And I remember there was an argument that so if it is to be effected, of course it cannot be effected in the ratio of 1 per town, but the rationing can be done to some extent. Now when it is done, there is a likelihood that those who will survive are the ones that are bar owners and restaurants owners and even people in that industry, in that supply chain, who sit comfortable, or rather who are in good books with the administration or the governors of the day. What am I saying? For example, in a town like Kiambu, if there is an investor who is sitting well and is close to the governor or the leadership, he will most likely get his license. Then that window can be used, or rather, that policy, if it is to be implemented, I think it has to pass through the county assembly, if I'm not wrong. You cannot just implement something because deputy president said. If it is to be implemented, then what does it mean? If it is to implemented, then it will be a ground of favors to even hit even some businesses of Azimio politicians who come from the region. And that's why there is a lot of trooping back to Raila. And the trooping back to Raila is a buffer zone because it's just like a threat that, okay, nyinyi kama mweze kutusikia, wacha sisi tuende kwa Raila. Sometimes I agree that in each and every government, there should be an opposition to check on the excesses. Yeah, and that's it. Lastly, the litigation threats are in the offing. Take this to the bank. I am not spelling a doom on many, but this is it. After you see billion cases getting dropped by one statement that they were politically trapped, expect in the next few months or few days cases getting revived of people who worked with former President Uhuru Kenyatta. I can tell you, expect that. So that tool and that weapon is normally available. It's at disposal of the state to use it to manage. It will be used to manage many things. It will be used for even coercion. If they were saying that Uhuru, used to throw cases at people if they're not working with him and they're going to Ruto, then Ruto will still use the same weapon to drag people to the new plan of forming the big party. So expect that. And because of that litigation, there is a lot of public court. There are also ones that you must now win in the public court. Remember, I'm saying about future. It started. Former Murang'a governor. Yes. Former Murang'a governor was all over it last month crying out that I'm being targeted by people who are seeing that I'm going to the next kingpin and here there. We dismissed him. But again, we are all in this country knowing that it's a possibility, it's a weapon available, and it's going to be sharpened against many others. So that's it, guys. I don't know what you really expect. Finally, that is what it is to being Raila. That is what it is being Raila. So I think we're gonna Kenyans should then pray that the gentleman still stays with us here for quite some times, because hey, hapa ndio hata nyumbani kama huko chini macho moto kianza kuwaka unaendaga huko juu. So that's why people are trooping back to him. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet in the next analysis.